Okay, guys. So it's just on 10:01, 10:02. So we might push after our morning tea back just a couple of minutes, and we'll cut that short. But basically, we've got another talk up now, which is a little bit shorter, but it's a really cool talk. If I said the three letters IOT, does anyone know what that is? Is anyone familiar with that acronym? Yeah. What is it? Nice, yeah. I was trying to think of something funny, but I couldn't think of it. So we've got Stephen Cooper up next. Stephen Cooper's been sort of fundamental in the startup arena in the Asia Pacific area over the last sort of 20 years. He's worked at several companies, and I thought this was pretty impressive. He's worked at companies of the likes of Virgin, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Visa, Westpac, St. George, and he's now working for PayPal. Which is sick. In his current role, yes, Stephen basically tries to connect businesses to the right solutions, and we're lucky enough to have him today to talk about IoT, and I'll leave that acronym for him to explain for those of you who aren't sure, give you a bit of a suspense, and in relation to e-commerce. So, Stephen, there he is.
Wow, everything connected well. Hello, good morning. How is everyone? Good morning, PHP Australia. Good morning. Oh, all right, just for that, I'm going to tell a joke, just because it was so enthusiastic. Yeah, and people are covering their face. Everyone that I've been hanging out with and all the conferences I've been at, I tell the most amazing developer jokes. No, stop. You all brought rotten fruit today. I'm impressed. Anyway, how do you comfort a JavaScript bug? Anyone? Yeah, I'm telling a JavaScript joke at a PHP conference. That's got to be worth something, right? You console it. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone? So I am Stephen Cooper, also known as Developer Steve, pretty much everywhere, even on Weibo, which is Chinese Facebook, for those that don't know. Happy to follow along, continue the conversation after this. Please take photos, tag me everywhere, throw fruit, criticisms. Yeah, I'm good. You'll get more jokes back, just saying. I'm a developer advocate for PayPal and Braintree. And just before I continue, I thought I'd just give a big shout out to the organisers of PHP Australia. Seb and the team have done an amazing job, and I know putting on conferences like this is not easy. It is a lot of work. So big round of applause for the effort they've put in. Many long hours. So just before I get into the Internet of Things, which is an amazing and fun place, I thought I'd talk quickly just about the two companies that I'm representing today. May have heard of this one, PayPal. I'm sure you've seen it around a little bit. Amazing APIs, been a big fan for many years, even before I was doing this. One of my favorite APIs basically lets you be eBay. It does chain payments, lets you be the conduit between buyer and seller. Amazing fun. And one probably you may not be too familiar with and is relatively new to the region, a year or so. Braintree, which basically it's the easiest demo I ever do on stage. It literally takes 1:20. It's like 12 lines of code. It is ridiculously cool. Lets you take PayPal credit card directly in your website, inside your mobile apps, Apple Pay, when it launches here. It's good to go. It's all ready. And more recently, more excitingly, Bitcoin. So you're going to be able to take Bitcoin. Also, again, all in the one integration. Really, really cool. But I'm here today to talk to you about the Internet of Things, which is an amazingly fun place. So as a full stack developer, it allows me to take my digital world and move it offline and allow users to break things in whole new ways. That's another story. And users are good at doing that. But to understand where we're going, we need to understand where we've come from. And I know this is much debated, but for me, the internet began here in 1969 when researchers connected two computers host to host for the first time. In a sense, that spawned our digital world. That's created the gateway to the universe that we now play in. And it's an amazingly fun place. As we all know, as developers and people that interact with digital on a minutely basis, with our phones, with Siri, during talks, playing with iTunes. No response. It's an amazing place, and we reshape it for whatever purpose we need. So more recently, last 3-5 years, we've seen the explosion of social media. So again, we've reshaped our digital universe to basically become what we need it to become, for what we need to do. But the limitation we've since discovered is it's just like Alice in Wonderland. There's a barrier between us and our digital universe. So we can't fully be immersed into our digital world. We can't fully be dropped into our digital universe to do what we want to do, to play into in our world. Mobile, of course, is an absolutely great way to make it portable. But again, there's a screen between us and our world and our universe. And augmented reality, which I absolutely love, it's the most geekiest thing ever, is just a window into a world that we can't fully touch, we can't fully be a part of. And of course, virtual reality, again, absolutely major geek topic and absolutely love. But again, it's something you can't touch and can't be a part of. And this is the Metaspace headset, which is one of the new virtual reality headsets out. It essentially has sensors across the top. So you can semi-see, it's basically augmented reality with the glass view. So you can see this digital world. You can reach and sort of grab something that your brain sort of comprehends. Oh yeah, there's something there, but you can't feel it. There's nothing to actually touch and grab. Welcome to the Internet of Things. I hope you took the red pill. So I thought I'd talk through, oh, really? That was a quiet clap. So I thought I'd talk through some of the really cool things I've seen, we've seen starting to boom into the industry based on the Internet of Things and sort of that have come out of various hackathons. And first up is the Nixie. Anyone seen the Nixie? No? Oh, it was demoed at CES recently, but this came out of a hackathon for Intel about a year ago. It was listed in the top 20 and like they didn't have to win, they would have had my money. It started out as a pair of glasses because it looks like that, right? Ended up as a watch. It's a wearable drone. You basically wear it as a watch and spring it off, launch it, and it takes selfies of you. It's the ultimate selfie stick. And so it will actually follow you around, connecting via Bluetooth to your phone. It will follow you around and take video, take pictures. You can fly it, so you can actually guide it into wherever you want to go. But I dawned on me recently, everyone remember when smartphones the camera started to get really, really good? Conferences started to look a little like this. So everyone would be out with their cameras. I'm seeing a few now. I hope Siri isn't running. But yeah, I started to think recently, once the Nixies hit market, we're going to see swarms of drones at conferences. There's going to be no-fly zones around stages. And think about it, drone wars. And so this is another favorite, Brad the Toaster. Not as functional as the Nixie, but still loads of fun. So Brad will do everything he can, or it can, to get you to have toast. It will wiggle its little handle, it'll vibrate across the desk, and if you ignore it long enough, it will contact other Brads in the area to find out how often they're getting toast. And if you still keep ignoring it as much as it's going to keep bugging you, it will contact the postal service and get itself shipped to a new owner. So these things all around us are going to know more about what you do and what you use in a daily basis than we probably even realize. I mean, we know when we have toast, obviously. But these things are going to know more about us than we know about ourselves. And so this is another cool one. A smart table that I found in Makerspace is teaching students how to make it out of Singapore. I love Makerspace. You never know what you're going to find. Essentially, it's an IKEA table, $60 off the shelf, with Arduinos built into it so that when you put advertising material on the table, it knows how much is left. As it gets low, send you a message to say, hey, I need more stuff put on me. It has an alarm built in, so if it gets picked up off the floor, it actually sends you a message to tell you it's been picked up off the floor. In effect, it's a smart table. And so students in the Singapore Makerspace are being taught how to build these really basic tables. And from that, it creates a really good platform, haha pun, that was a new one, to be able to build whole new interfaces to users. And e-textiles. E-textiles are a really exciting space. So this is a company in New York making LED fabric. There's a couple of these around now, but and power is still an issue and interactivity is still an issue, but a really great way to build an interactive shirt. It's something I've been playing around with to be able to do on stage so people can tell me how bad my jokes are. But yeah, people will be able to interact with you while you're on stage, while you're at concerts. Like, it's whole new ways for interactivity without even knowing we're connected. So this year we ran Battle Hack in Melbourne, and the winners from that came up with this really cool cyclist jacket. It's got 3 lots of IoT built into it, 3 little mini computers, and it's essentially a connected jacket. So as you slow down, brake light comes on at the back, has an accelerometer, put your arm out, indicators come on, and it has lights on the wrist to tell you for directions where to go. I actually think some of them might be here. Where's my Battle Hack team? Yeah, there we are. Hello, guys. I wasn't plugging it, it's a really cool jacket. So to do this video, this is actually Melbourne, 5 a.m. in the morning, and Christopher at the back is running behind Andre, testing the jacket with a GoPro taped to a broom handle. That would have been a sight to see. But yeah, again, it's a really cool way to interact with the digital world, and this is via a wearable. And so last year I started making some interactive shirts. Okay, we can stop now. Stop. There we go. Started making some interactive shirts so that I could, do my thing on stage. I'm not wearing any today. You don't have to be concerned. But yeah, I was wearing, this is the first one I built, literally just like eyes flash. It didn't connect to anything at that stage. But I was wearing this one on stage in Malaysia, which is a little bit humid. And it uses a conductive thread to basically connect up an Arduino Gemma and some NeoPixels, 2 little LED NeoPixels. And suddenly it sweat a little bit on stage with the lights and whatnot. The wires crossed. Let me tell you, 3-volt shocks will generally keep you awake on stage. But on that topic, you also don't cross the streams. So, and we get that from Ghostbusters, of course, but this was the second shirt I built, which I was demoing to some students at a conference in Melbourne last year, and had a whole table set up with IoT equipment, and smoke started coming up I was like, no! But yeah, this is what happens when demos go wrong. But the opportunities for developers to connect to IoT in whole new, and users using IoT in whole new ways is endless. Like by 2020, there'll be 50 billion IoT devices around us. You think about ways that can connect to your websites, connect to your mobile apps, connect to users in whole new ways. Basically 26 smart devices per person on this planet by 2020. So the opportunities are absolutely endless. And you're not going to know whether you're being trolled by a fridge or a person in the Internet of Things future. These things are going to know more about us than we know about ourselves, and just the ways that developers can connect to that and be able to interact with that is staggeringly endless. Particularly when it comes to the world of e-commerce, which has been absolutely awesome, and I'm not just saying that because I come from a payments company, in years of late. So here's some ways that some of my team around the planet, I included that slide, have been able to connect e-commerce, or IoT commerce as I call it, to Internet of Things. So one thing I came up with last year, and I don't have that to demo today, I've got a nice little thermal printer, but taking a Raspberry Pi, everyone's familiar with the Raspberry Pis, I mean they literally grow on trees these days. Taking a Raspberry Pi and a Leap Motion. So Leap Motion is like a little sensor bar. You basically can wave your hand over and interact with displays, interact with games. And again, you sort of go back to that. The thing users always struggle with the Leap is you can't touch anything. It's more an interactive display. So you put your arm in, you sort of wave around. You're like, oh, I can't feel anything, but I can interact with the screen. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we take a Raspberry Pi and a Leap Motion, and while you won't be Iron Man, you could create an ordering system for SMEs to be able to interact with an actual ordering display without having to touch keyboard or mouse. So for a cafe, that basically means they won't have to touch a keyboard, mouse while doing food prep. You could wave left, wave right to see orders come up on the screen, wave up to print, and down to fulfill. Nice, easy, touchless display. Alberto, my colleague in Spain, came up with a candy dispenser using a Spark Core, a candy machine, obviously. I know you all want me to have that so you can all have candy. But yeah, you basically put a payment through via a mobile responsive website. Responsive, of course. We're all responsive now. And yep, you put payment through, and then candy comes out. Now he's also integrated Twitter with that as well. So the candy machine basically tweets you. welcome to the Internet of Things. So the payment box there is the V0 integration. The PayPal and credit card, one little integration. No one copy that number down. Developer card. Has unlimited sandbox credit. And nice little animation that come up. The candy machine that tweets you. I'd say it's guilt-free candy, but and then candies come out. And it sends you a, transaction complete, and then sends you a tweet. Ta-da. So everyone knows you're eating candy. Sweet. I see what you did there. So another one we've had is a colleague in Brazil came up with a remote control car that you hire via a web app, and then you're able to drive it around. It uses a Raspberry Pi and Arduino Gemma. Really simple way. You put through a payment. You basically rent it to drive it around. But the one I'm going to talk to you today about is a little printer that I've taken through 7 countries, using an Arduino Yun and a thermal printer. $120 off the shelf, 99 cents for the high quality cardboard box. And yeah, it's really easy, lightweight for a restaurant, a low-end merchant to be able to connect to an e-commerce website. And I've connected it to everything from, and I'll talk more about this, Magento, Drupal. Last week I released a V0 Drupal module, which currently the community is sort of building up. I released a really basic version and they're adding extra functionality in. Again, I'll demo that. But yeah, I've integrated it with loads of different e-commerce sites so that as soon as an order comes through, receipt prints out. And it's portable, has Wi-Fi built into the Arduino Yun, which is one of the things I liked about the Yun when I was looking at little IoT boards. They cost about $70. There's 2 sides to the Yun. I'll get into that a little bit, jumping ahead. But yeah, it's a really light way for a merchant to be able to use IoT to take payments. So there's 2 sides to the demo that I'm going to walk through. There's the website, of course, HTML, JS, PHP, of course. If I did it in anything less, yeah, there'd be riots. API-wise, I'm using client token and transaction from the Braintree SDK. Hardware side, I'm actually running PHP on the Arduino Yun, and I've got a C++ sketch. API, just using transaction search on that. The website, it's just a bootstrap responsive theme. Quite simple, wanted to keep it quite light, just a really basic demo. So all this code is available on my GitHub. Please go take it, break it, tell me how I can make it a loads better. These are just really basic demos just to give you an idea on how this stuff works, and then you go forth and build. So the initial code, I'm requiring this on the initial page load. I just require the Braintree SDK. I have my credentials in there, which Jack's now taking a photo of, which you just get from the sandbox, and some really basic JavaScript. From that, I'm generating a token, which keeps it nice and secure, and that drops into the JavaScript. Yes, I know PHP, and there's a little bit of JavaScript. That's all right. And I'm doing an AJAX submit. So as soon as I get, I'm expecting a payment method nonce back, which basically means when I type in my credit card, when I click the PayPal button and log in, it sends off to the Braintree server. Braintree server gives me back a payment method nonce. So no credit card, no PayPal information ever touches the developer website. It's all super secure, very PCI. To process that transaction, I'm expecting payment method nonce and an amount. And of course, I'm also doing something extra special. Inside the Braintree transaction, I'm storing some JSON cart data, which I'll talk about in a bit, in a custom field. No, I'll cover that now. So what I'm actually doing, normally with the PayPal APIs, you can store cart data inside the transaction. In Braintree, there's no way to actually store the transactional cart data, basically because Braintree is just a transaction process. So what I'm doing is I in JavaScript, create a JSON string and then store that inside a custom field. on the Yun itself, I pull the transaction back out, decompile the JSON, print a receipt. So that way I know all the cart data that's stored inside the transaction. So the Arduino Yun, amazing little unit. When I was looking at what boards I would use to do something like this, I looked at some of the standalone, no connection, no Wi-Fi IoT boards. There's things like the Arduino Uno. Great little boards, very, very cheap. They're only about $30, $35. But there's no way to connect them to the internet, which you kind of need that. So I went for the Yun, which has Wi-Fi built in. There's basically two sides to the Yun itself too. So you've got the Arduino side, which is, do I have a mouse? Yep, this side here. And then the Linux side. It's essentially, whoops, we're not ready for that bit. So there's the Arduino side, which does all your pin interfacing, basically accesses the printer, the little LCD screen. And then there's the Linux side, which basically does all your heavy lifting. It's OpenWRT. It's basically like a really scaled down small little server. It comes baked in with Python, as we just saw with the next slide. Yeah, it's really cool. In between the two, there's this bridge. So the bridge basically stores JSON variables inside like a temporary storage. The bridge will drive you nuts. It still does drive me nuts. It's a whole thing. If you're basically what you're supposed to do on what it's for is you pass very low level variables through to the bridge and then access them both sides. So in a sense, you could switch a light on and off by putting in a 10 variable into the bridge, access it on the Arduino on and off, and get a light to flash. Anything more than that, and the bridge has so much latency, it will just drive you nuts. So I was trying to put large amount of text in, print a receipt. The Arduino side would see that there is a variable there, but the text wouldn't have finished transferring at the time that it sees it. So chicken before the egg, one blank row would print out, and then the second run, everything from the first run would print out in the second run. So what I did to get around that in the end was I use an SQLite database. I store all the transaction information inside a temporary file. In the SQLite database, I store the transaction ID from that particular transaction that I'm getting back from the Braintree API, and then access it from the Arduino side. So I created my own bridge. It works. And hopefully it works in the demo. So originally on the Linux side, I tried to use Python. It comes pre-built. It seemed to make sense. It didn't work. Basically, there's OpenWRT, absolutely great, very low powered, very light. Didn't have some of the core modules I needed to get it working. I had it working on my laptop. It should have worked fine. Yeah, it didn't work on that. So good old PHP. It does all sorts of amazing things. So I'm using PHP. That works. And yeah, I'll demo that in a minute. Hopefully the demo gods are happy. The sketch, it's C++. How many people have used C++ before? Yeah, it's nice. It's okay. So again, all this code's available in the GitHub repo. Please feel free to go grab it, break it, make it better. Tell me how awesome it is. All right, so let's try a demo. I'm using my Wi-Fi because I know what conference Wi-Fi can be like, having done a few demos before. All right, so I'm going to refresh this. That little box there is the payment box loading. Yes, we have internet. All right, so again, don't copy down that number. And submit. That's it. So that's bringing back the payment method nonce, and then I pass it over through Ajax to process. And so basically on this, I have a PHP script polling the Braintree SDK, Braintree API for new transactions that have come in. Hopefully it actually detects it. It's running through a cron job. There are a few different ways to do this. Obviously you can run sockets. I'm just running through a cron job just to keep it nice and simple. Yeah, you can run sockets. The other way to do it, so I'm pulling in straight from the Braintree transaction. Is it flashing? It will, I hope. There's two ways to basically do this. You can pull it in through the Braintree transaction like I'm doing, or what that means is I just have to do one call, one-stop shop. Everything's in that one transaction. You can also get this directly from an API interface. it's printing. Sorry, everyone can't see that. Anyway. Yay, it worked. The demo gods are happy today. All the next speakers, please take note. So there's two ways to basically interface. You can interface directly to your website, build an API, pass data over. You could do that through sockets. You could do that through a polling job. You could also register your IP address for the Yun and then push notifications over as well. Or you can access directly to a payment gateway, be it PayPal, be it Braintree, whatever, and just pull your information back out, print the receipt, open the door to a vending machine, like whatever you need to do. Kind of the basic two ways to go through. Oh, we've lost the screen. I spoke too soon about the demo gods. Yay. So my wonderful little printer has now been through 7 countries, and I built this before PHP New Zealand last year, to take it around the region and sort of use it in talks and whatnot. I upgraded it to this wonderful little box, which is now getting a little bit squished, but yeah. And it has a little LCD panel. I thought I'd put little LCD in so larger audiences could potentially see that there was some sort of interactivity going, and it was cool, and I may have also built Space Invaders to run on it. It was there, it was, yeah. But then I took a look at the box before I was going to go through international customs, and I thought, could be interesting. Thankfully, I haven't been pulled up yet, and I also have a number of wired up shirts that I never wear through security. So yeah, I've integrated through a number of platforms, and I thought I'd just talk through a couple now. So last week, Drupal South, amazing conference. I basically built a V0, a Braintree V0 module for Drupal Commerce, which was really cool. Drupal's a really good platform. And again, available on my GitHub, please go get it. There's some of the Drupal community already helping me get it ready to go to the, be submitted to be part of the Drupal modules. Oh, that's the GitHub for it. So module creation, I created a submit form function and then dropped in the Braintree drop-in UI. That basically calls it into that nice little interface. It was really easy, just attach JavaScript, create a token. And I'm validating inside the submit form validate. And that's just so I can do the transaction, and if there's any problems, generally you wouldn't hope so, but it'll come up with a nice little error message to say, hey user, you've done something wrong. So the custom fields is, I've actually built that into that Drupal module. It's optional. So the custom fields, you can actually define the name of what you want to store in there. So it could be anything. There's an example of the JSON that I'm storing in mine. And you can call that field absolutely anything. Inside the Drupal module, you can actually enter what you want to call it, whatever you're going to name it. I've already been through this. I won't put you through it again. But that's the code that I used inside the Drupal module. We've also got, and this will get his attention, we've also got a Magento module coming very, very soon. I was hoping to be able to show you what that kind of looked like. See what yeah, he's going to take a photo. So if anyone that hasn't met him yet, Ben Marks, the Magento evangelist, the only one, limited edition, is sitting in the front row. But yeah, we do have a Magento module almost done. We're in testing at the moment, working the bugs out of it. It's actually got some really good functionality in there. Lets you store credit cards inside the Braintree vault and attach a token back to a user profile. And that's basically how companies like Uber, who use Braintree, are able to do the amazing things they do with the app. I'm sure most of you have used Uber or set up an account, but when you set up an account using the app, you attach a payment method and then set up your profile. And that basically validates that you're a valid user. It's very hard to have a fake credit card set up, unless you're using the developer credit card, of course. I'm sure that won't work. But yeah, you can attach a payment method, and that stores inside the Braintree vault. You get a token back, store that against the user profile. Anytime you need to charge against that user, you charge against the stored token. Of course, WordPress, amazing platform. Absolutely loved it. WooCommerce is, of course, one of one of the more common, one of the more common modules. We do have one coming for that as well. It's almost done. My team's been working on it tirelessly. It's the next one off my list once I got the Drupal one out. So it's almost complete. Not as cool as the Magento one. The Magento one has some really cool functionality in there, but yeah, it is coming. And again, you can take PayPal and credit card all in one little easy integration. And even Joomla. So we've got a Joomla one. We do have a couple of Joomla different modules coming for a few of the e-commerce modules. Here's one we prepared earlier. But yeah, we are looking at a number of different integrations into different platforms. So please come up and talk to me. Tell me about ones you're using. Love to see how we can integrate, release a module for it. So just wrapping up, extremely proud. PayPal and Braintree, extremely proud to be able to sponsor events like this, and it's communities like this that are really innovating the way forward. And in the IoT space, when you're dealing with something the size of this is 8 to, I don't know, everyone can see it. It's basically smaller than a postage stamp. It doesn't have a name, it just has a number because that's how fast IoT moves these days. But 8266 has Wi-Fi and a heat sensor built into it and 32 bits of memory. Costs $3 off the shelf. So you think about ways you can integrate stuff like this into your websites and some of the interfaces you're going to be able to build for users moving forward. And you can integrate with just about anything. And that is me. Thank you. All the questions. Any questions? No? Rotten fruit? Hey, Dave. Yes, and I think, and this has been a big topic at a lot of the conferences recently, particularly API days that we saw about a month ago in Sydney that was coming up with security and also a lot of the protocols that are now occurring between communicating to the actual devices. It's definitely a hot topic, and particularly because these things do know more about us than, yeah, like everything, smartwatches for example, know all sorts of things about us, and they're sending information back to everything around us. Definitely a hot topic. I think there's still a lot of players in the space and a lot of protocols, but a lot of that's going to get sorted out. Encryption-wise, because there's so many players, so many protocols, it's still sort of early days. There's a lot. It'll be interesting to see where that goes, but it's definitely important. No more? Sorry. Hello? Never. That's a standard one. No. Anyway, I'll be around the conference. I have a bag of swag. Please come take swag. It's less for me to ship around when I fly everywhere. And also, I'll be down here for a little while, so please come down if you want to have a look at Little Printer before it catches fire. No, it won't catch fire. But yeah, please come have a look. Come geek out. Yeah, thank you.